Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jessica Ward King, the StigmaCrusher here. So the quick update on the ketogenic diet, still on it, still feeling like a sack of you know what. But I'm still at it. I'll keep you posted. No effects on the bipolar, the migraines, or anything yet, but can't really expect there to be. It's too early days. This week, though, I wanted to talk about therapy. And by that, I'm meaning talk therapy. And specifically, my meditations on talk therapy this week are brought about by a problem I was having with mine, which was that I was feeling like I wasn't getting enough homework. Now, if you've never done therapy before, or if you've done a different kind of therapy to what I'm doing, you may be saying to yourself, homework from therapy? And to which I respond, yes. For me, therapy isn't just something that happens every week or every couple of weeks for 50 minutes inside my therapist's office. And then I go and I spend the rest of well, for me, it's every 2 weeks. I spend the rest of my 14 days just blissfully wandering around the world. That's not enough for me. I need to have something to do, something to think about, something to meditate on, something to write about, something to practice in the time between sessions. Because if I'm going to pay that much for a session, I want to get bang for my buck. I want to get something for it. And it's kind of like school. Now, again, some of you are going, we didn't like homework at school, but think about it. If you're going to school and you're trying to learn the most that you can out of it, you're trying to get the degree as quickly as you can, or learn the material as fast as you can so that you can stop paying to take the course. You want to get as much of the coursework done as quickly as you can so that you can stop paying for the course, right? So you want to do the homework as it's assigned. You want to get that learning. You want to take what your teacher, your therapist in this case, thinks that you are ready to know or ready to practice, and take it outside of the classroom or the therapist's office and start using it. And start toying with it and playing it around, turning it around in your mind. And in my case, my preferred method of doing homework outside of therapy is by writing. And I prefer to do it in a book, but you could do it in a phone. You could not write at all. Some people prefer just thinking about it. Some people prefer actually having experiments to do, things to try in life. And sometimes that's what my homework looks like too. It's quite often, it's really pushing you out of your comfort zone. It's trying something that you wouldn't have tried unless your therapist said, I really think you should give this a try. See what happens. Report back on it next week or next 2 weeks when you come back. Tell me how it felt. Tell me what happened. Tell me what the results were. Let's see what we can do with that. And sometimes it really takes being accountable to someone, to your therapist, and having them push you and having them expect that of you and having them expect that you can do that and having them there to support you and to say, like, yes, you can do that. And yes, I am pushing you to do this, and I'm there for you. And I know you can do this, and I'm going to be there to support you while you do this, to get you to actually do it, right? And it's like that too when you're learning any new skill. It's sometimes you need to have the teacher or the tutor that's there saying, yes, you can do this. I know you can do this. There are tools available to help you do this, and I'll be there supporting you too. There are office hours maybe, or I have a phone number you can call, or there are web pages or whatever it is. And sometimes therapists will offer those things too. And so I was finding in my therapy, I was kind of getting stuck where I wasn't feeling like I was getting enough homework. And now there can be a variety of reasons for this. And I think now I understand my therapist's reasons for this. One of the reasons, and I think my therapist's reasons, are that kind of daily tasks of living seem like they're hard enough at the time. And so pushing you further by giving you homework, so pushing you to go outside of your comfort zone when you're already kind of at your limit with your comfort zone, just doing daily tasks of living isn't always the best option. So you might be pushing someone who's, like in my own particular circumstance, already in a depressed state, so moderately depressed, and having reasonable trouble just with kind of daily living, and then pushing me outside my comfort zone at a time when I'm having trouble doesn't always necessarily seem like the best option. Now, in my mind, it was, because I was like, I'm ready to work. I can do this. I can push through. I need to learn. I need to grow. I'm never going to get through this if I don't grow. In his mind, it's like, you know what? Just give yourself a break for a few weeks. Like, you just be for a bit. And I think I didn't want to, because I didn't want to basically admit to myself that I was feeling as badly as I was. And I kind of am seeing the wisdom perhaps of his choices at this point, and thus I'm able to make the video a little bit more responsibly. But that's what I was thinking about in terms of therapy, in terms of that there are choices that can be made. And I was right ready to go back this past Monday when I saw him again and request and like have a conversation, have a frank conversation, and say, you know, I'm not feeling challenged enough. I think I need more homework. I think I need, you know, more stuff to do. And I kind of got to that session and I was emotionally exhausted. And I was like, I don't even need to say it, because I realized I can't even do homework at this point. And so I didn't have to I'm sure if I'd had that conversation with him, he'd have said, okay, what do you feel like you can do? And we would have gotten to the point where I'd have seen his point, but I didn't even need to get there because I already saw his point before I said it. But that's the other thing about therapy, is that you do need to sometimes be assertive. And so assertive meaning standing up for yourself and your values in therapy. Sometimes your therapist will be looking out for your best interest, and from their point of view, and they're a professional, and they see cases like yours all the time. But you see cases like yours 100% of the time. You are cases like yours, right? And so what they think you can handle might not be what you think you can handle, and sometimes you need to have that conversation. And so it may have been that he was underestimating what I could handle, and that at the point when I was feeling like I was being underserved or under, what's the word? Kind of like under pushed by not being given enough homework, that in fact that was the case, that I was being underserved, that he wasn't giving me enough stimulation in terms of like moving along in my therapy, and that I could have been getting more gain out of my therapeutic dollar, so to say. And it's not only about the dollar, it's about the time spent, it's about the emotional energy spent, it's about, you know, it's about like all of these things, like the amount of time that you're spending not doing homework and not kind of capitalizing upon that time is time that you're spending not getting better, right? So it's not just money, it's also kind of, it's other kinds of capital that you're spending that are even more important than the money. So sometimes you do have to have those conversations, and sometimes it's up to the therapist to say, you know what, in my professional opinion, I really don't think that it's a good idea, and I really don't feel like it's appropriate. And sometimes it's up for you to say, I'd really like some homework, please, and for you to work together to come up with something that is appropriate for you to be able to do. The other thing that I wanted to talk about therapy is how to know if you have found a good fit. I've been talking to a friend about this because, you know, we've been kind of swapping stories about, you know, like, well, you know, I feel like I'm not getting enough homework, and oh, well, you know, I feel like whatever, you know, kind of swapping stories about how our therapists aren't quite making us the happiest people in the world. And how do you know if you've got a good enough fit with a therapist? Because just like with any relationship, a relationship with a therapist is a human relationship, and not every pair of humans is a good match. You know, you may not match in terms of the way that you see psychological therapy. You may not match in terms of like what you see as the outcome for your therapy and what they see as an outcome. You may not match in terms of the way that you see yourselves getting there. You may not match in terms of, I mean, there could be such a variety of ways in which you don't match. You just may not like that they're like, let's say, an old white dude or a young black lady, or like you just may not like them for so many reasons, right? And so how do you know if you've got a good match? Well, one thing is that you don't have to necessarily want to be their friend. They don't have to give you the warm fuzzies. In fact, when I was being matched with my therapist, I was given the choice of two. And they were explained to me like this. One of them was a lot more like I was describing my old therapist that I had to move away from that city, who was more philosophical and more, talked through the issues and thought through things in a philosophical manner. And the other was a lot more brash and very action oriented and a lot more like to the point. And I was like, well, I'm kind of like having an allergic reaction to this like brash to the point person. And I think that's why I should maybe go with that, because I've had this philosophical, gentle thinking approach before, and it was helpful. But I haven't had this other approach, and maybe it would be helpful. And maybe it would be something that would be different for me, that in a good way. And if not, you can always change. Therapists, I mean, it's great like that. You can always change your therapist. There is no rule about this. And any therapist that is worth their salt would not be in any way offended. There should be absolutely no nasty grams. There should be no hurt feelings. They should know it's not personal, that, there are a variety of reasons why you might not match. And they should actually be able to refer you to someone who would match your preferred profile better. So I decided to go with the one that gave me the kind of allergic reaction. And that's the guy I'm still with. And despite me saying I don't think he's giving me enough homework, I actually am matching with him quite well and do appreciate his style. It's very much not my style, and it's very much shaking me up and giving me a lot to think about and giving me a lot of a different perspective. And so how you know you got a good match is if it's making you think, but you have to be comfortable enough to be yourself in the room. So if you find that you're editing everything you're saying, you're trying to impress the person, you're trying to you're not saying what you really feel, what you really think, bad match. That's my general rule. If you can't say absolutely any single thing that comes to your head in that room, bad match. But if they're making you think, and if they're making you ponder the way that you actually behave and the way that you do things, and if you're comfortable enough with them, probably a good match, and see where it goes, and you can always change. So those are just some of my thoughts on therapy. Let me know down below if you have any questions about therapy. I have been through lots of therapists in my time, some good, some bad. And I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. And remember, if you do have any questions for me, I would be happy to do an Ask Me Anything. So please do either send me those questions or ask them down below. Take care of yourselves this week, everyone. Bye.
StigmaCrusher.